feel the beginning of the journey matters so much? Something inside you gave that initial spark, and then that's essentially the fuel we all have.
I wanted to work with film, but as a kid, you don't really know what in the whole universe of filmmaking you can actually do. Really loved writing, which is why I thought that, okay, maybe screenwriting and directing could be for me when I applied to film school. And I didn't get in. And I thought, okay, so, then film is not for me. We ended up studying culture and arts management. And basically there we did producing. I later found out that as a producer, you can be equally creative.
And allow that voice from then where you got the rejection to go like, well, that doesn't mean that this cannot be for me. So what can happen is that it really colors the whole life, our whole life, and we just then don't touch it again.
No one really told me that it doesn't mean that you're not good or you're not worthy of entering this industry. I mean, I found my own way, and I think that came from within. Maybe I would have pursued, film studies earlier, or I would have reapplied or something. That's also been like an ongoing journey for me to figure out what kind of producer I am. But the things that I learned, I think the most important lesson was to look after yourself, because you can't push yourself to the point where you're not able to work. And I think we all maybe hit that point sometime during our career. And then we kind of find that boundary and we understand like, okay, this was pushing too far. And this is where I have to draw my line.
Thank you and welcome. We are joined today by Inka Hietala. I'm going to also ask you to pronounce your name once again, because I'm afraid of butchering your beautiful name. But I'm going to introduce you. You're a producer and the founder of a film production company, which is called Into Films. You're based in Finland. Could you please tell us about your interesting, beautiful journey? And you told us in the pre-interview that you started as a represented talent, and then you moved into production. And I'm interested what made you change your career trajectory in a way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your wonderful podcast. My name is Inka Hietala, not the easiest Finnish name to pronounce. And yes, I'm based here in Helsinki, in Finland. And yeah, I started working with actors actually in a talent agency called Actors in Scandinavia, and to find international opportunities for Nordic actors. And I did that for many years, and it really was my way into the industry. But I think I was always growing this feeling towards wanting to actually make the whole film. And then ultimately decided to move into production instead. And yeah, that was in 2016.
Mm-hmm. And you also told us that there was a bit of a change already at the beginning with the film school. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I think I always knew I wanted to work with film. But as a kid, you don't really know what in the whole universe of filmmaking you can actually do. So when I applied to film school, I applied to screenwriting and directing, and which really makes me laugh today. And I didn't get in, and I thought, okay, so then film is not for me, because I was not accepted, and I did my very best to apply. This was after high school. And so I ended up studying culture and arts management. And basically there we did producing, but in many different fields, not only film, but in arts, in theater, in music. And there I really learned the craft of producing and found out that actually this is something that feels very natural to me, and I really like this. And so I could actually also use that education to move into film and working with film and working with production.
So it was a blessing in disguise after all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also interesting what you're saying, because sometimes exactly what you said is like we get a no once and we're like, okay, this is not for me. But something with a lot of us, what can happen is that it really colors the whole life, our whole life, and we just then don't touch it again. But even you experienced it then in your education where you're like, you started producing and you didn't allow that voice from then where you got the rejection to go like, well, that doesn't mean that this cannot be for me. Was that just a normal thing? Like, did you like consider it? Did that voice pop up and go like, well, wait, but they said, film is not for me? Or did that not at all, that voice that, our negative voices sometimes were like so much in our way? Was it not in your way at all? Because you were like, oh, I just love this. I don't care.
It's funny with all of this, like applying to schools. And I mean, of course, there was a lot of instructing, and supporting in trying to find your profession after high school. And they prepared us, for years. But at the same time, no one told me that you can apply multiple times, No one really told me that, it doesn't mean that you're not good or you're not worthy of entering this industry just because you didn't get accepted this first time you applied. And I think that was something would have been really valuable for me if someone would have told me that or supported me in that, because maybe I would have pursued, film studies earlier, or I would have reapplied or something. I mean, I found my own way, and I think that came from within. That there are just other avenues, and there are other ways for everybody, and myself included. And at the same time, I was able to also try other industries and other fields in culture and arts, which was also really interesting to me. But yeah, I think it's something that is good to remember, that just it doesn't mean that you're not, supposed to work with film or supposed to get into this or that just because you weren't accepted. Just apply again,
And what kept you going essentially down that path? What drew you initially to filmmaking? That's my favorite question.
After I started studying, or
initially, like if you remember yourself as a child, or what was about film that drew you in?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I haven't thought about that in a long time. I think I always loved telling stories and writing stories, and I really loved writing, which is why I thought that, okay, maybe screenwriting and directing could be for me, to be creative and to be part of telling the story. And I later found out that as a producer, you can be equally creative, even though you are not the one who is doing the actual writing or doing the directing. But it's you are also part of the creative team and the creation of the project. Yeah, and then I mean, I didn't always know when I started studying culture and arts management, and I thought, film wasn't for me. I really tried to try different things. But then I well, one thing was that I started working at the talent agency. And so it was just, I don't know, it just
How
happened
did that job
through.
find you, if you don't mind me asking? Or did you find in the job yourself?
Now she's really picking your brain. We told you
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna be like.
noticed. I'm really trying to remember how everything went down.
This is so curious, like, because I feel the beginning of the journey matters so much, because
Yeah,
it kept you
it's
going,
true.
like something inside you gave that initial spark, and then that's essentially the fuel we all have, because this is, I mean, It's an entertainment business, but it's not a fun business. Not
Yeah,
always.
yeah, exactly. I mean, one thing was that I started studying culture and arts management. And through that, of course, I received some connections and opportunities. Um, at the same time, like I mentioned, I really like to write. And I was writing a blog because
Mm,
this was,
you've already
uh,
gotten somewhere.
when was it, like 2000 something? What was that time?
Does it still
2006,
exist?
2000, exactly. It was like, but there was a huge boom and everyone was blogging. Everyone had a blog and I had a blog.
So we can find it somewhere. Am I understanding that correctly? It's somewhere out there.
I actually think it's deleted.
Yeah.
And not
Oh,
because of me, but because of the platform where it used to
oh,
be was erased.
damn.
And they did warn you, like, we're going to erase the platform, so you should download all of your, and I didn't. So
Okay.
it's
Oh,
it's gone. It's gone.
it's
It's
in the
in the
ethers.
history.
Like,
But so because I was writing and that I already started when I was 17, and it was picked up by this like sort of underground magazine, and they were picking out pieces from my texts and highlighting them in their magazine. And
So cool.
and
mhm.
it was quite cool. And then through that, I received like this other community of people working in arts and culture. And it was actually through a person through that community that they found me to work on a. This was probably one of my first projects to work on, but it was talk show.
Oh,
And I was a studio assistant in a talk show more than 15 years ago. And then the the cameraman of that talk show said that, hey, you're pretty good at this. um, my wife has a talent agency and she needs an assistant. And because it was, or still is, and it's still a really, really, really prominent talent agency, they needed someone who was fluent in both Finnish and Swedish, and of course, English. So then he kind of spotted me there because he knew I was Swedish speaking. And then he introduced me to his wife, and I had no idea what a talent agency was because I was 20 at that time. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how it started. And then she offered me the job, and I worked with her, I think, on and off for like 5, 6 years.
okay. I think we introduced you not totally
Mm-hmm.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm.
want to say that you're a writer. I really want to say that. Sorry, I just have to. Like, oh my God, you've been writing like so long and being picked up by a magazine, and that's a thing. That is a thing. And I love it. And then so now I understand also why you from the talent agency and representing these actors, you go and you're like, oh, I want to make my own projects. Like I
Mm,
understand like that, the drive. Like I want to do more.
mm,
Be stronger part of it, which is producing.
mm,
You're a huge part of it, even just happening. Without producers, there's no film or series or television or whatever. So that is amazing. But you then start, when you go to the producing side, you go and work with bigger companies. Am I right?
on the like
Like
what I did in the past.
as a producer in the beginning.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning, I started working for just a really regular indie production company here in Helsinki. So that was like kind of the regular size of a production company here, which it had two owners and two producers,
Mm-hmm.
producer owners in the company.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I started, yeah, as a line producer and a producer.
Okay.
Um, and then I was there for 4 years as an in-house line producer and producer. And then I went on to another company uh, for a few years. And that was a bit of a bigger company, which was interesting to me at that time because I was really looking to get the experience, of not only working with a small production company, but also like a bigger one.
And with the bigger one and the smaller, like comparing them, like, and you had there the financial and distribution departments. Is there, like, what did you learn there? And was it different? Like, it sounds like the smaller one was an indie production company. Was the bigger one too an indie production company? Or was it, now you would say that it's a bigger one, like it's not in the independent anymore, in the indie world?
I think all production companies here are independent. And even this big company was independent. It was private, but it was just really fast growing and just had a lot of departments, but it doesn't exist in its form today.
Got it.
So maybe part of, where the industry is at the moment. But I mean, what I learned during those years was everything. and and especially in the smaller company, I got to do everything. And that it gave me so much insight into not only handling production, but also handling day-to-day business in the production company, in the office. And because it was small, we all had to do everything. So it taught me a lot. And that was where I started my career in production, and both of the owners and producers just, shared everything with me and really taught me the ways of producing, and they shared their network with me. So it really was a place where I grew as a producer. And in the second one, the bigger one, of course, when you start working in a bigger scale, it taught me how to deal with all of these, departments, and how to work with bigger teams, and how to work with bigger budgets, and working with different workflows and softwares, because we didn't have that. We were like Word, Excel, in this other company, and in the bigger company, because it's more people, you need to, you really need to have softwares and workflows to make the communication smooth. So that was really interesting to me as well.
And can you tell us what is a day-to-day life of a producer in this type of company? It's just interesting because when people say producing, it seems like a magical word, and it can describe everything, literally everything. And you never know exactly what the person is doing. It's like magic. Can you tell us a little more? What is your average day in a production company looks like for someone in your
my
capacity?
own company?
Let's say in the one that you worked, and then we're gonna go into your own company.
I mean, in the first company where I started working, I mean, that was really, especially when you are just starting out, you are like, you're doing everything. I mean, you're making the coffee, and you're, doing whatever tasks are delegated to you. And I mean, I was handling some of the accounting, but of course, the creative part of it, which was also meeting talent like filmmakers, screenwriters, directors, developing their ideas or discussing their ideas, making contracts, pitching, or, connecting with financiers, broadcasters. So it was really, really different every day, depending on what we were doing. If we were developing, or if we were in production, in pre-production, or shooting, or in post-production, or, in festivals or in premieres. And so really, even back then, it was very, very different. And it just wasn't ever, and it has never been a 9-to-5 job.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. And that's that was in the smaller one where you had all these hats to wear, and in the bigger one, was it the same, or did you there have more like a department where like this is your, you had a one project there, or was it something like that? How was there the difference? Or what
Yeah.
was the
So
difference?
the difference there, which was just a huge change for me, was that they had a financial department. They had in-house post-production supervisor.
Mm.
We had an in-house legal advisory. Like we had a huge board. We had a management board. So it was really layered,
Mm-hmm.
and just learning to go from doing all by yourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and then also being able to move fast with decisions. It's not like, okay, we need to make this decision, but first it has to go to the management board, then it has to go to the board, then back to the
Bureaucracy.
management board, and then then the people at the financial department needs 2 weeks to process this thing. So this was the thing that was very new to me, and to get used to. Sometimes, of course, it felt like, oh, this is amazing. I don't have to do these things by myself,
Mm.
and you can actually put some of those administrational things to the side and really focus on maybe the more creative side of producing, which I really love. But my role in that company was I rarely did one project at the time, but let's say more like 10 at the time.
Okay.
And I was just in all the projects were in different stages, and they needed just whatever they needed at that stage, I would do that. But I actually liked that, instead of working on one project at the time, because I got this insight into all of these films. Instead of working on one film for 3 years, I got to see like, oh, this is how they did this. This is how they financed that one. This is what they're dealing with in this project. So it was a cool way of gaining like a lot of experience in a really short time.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And what then led you into establishing your own company? Because that's a big step, and it's also a huge responsibility. I'm interested into this internal decision-making process. When did you feel ready, or if you felt ready? Because we are here at Ambitchiously Intelligent, all for studying before we're ready. So
Start before you're ready.
how it felt for you?
Yeah. I never thought I would have my own company. And I think I never wanted that before. And I was very, very fortunate to have a full-time job, a full-time employment as an in-house producer. I was very, very lucky for many, many, many years. But then it was when our industry here in Finland was hit really bad, uh, especially when the streamers pulled out of the Nordics, and some of the other streamers and broadcasters also started slowing down on their commissioning. So that was one big thing, but not the only one that financially happened during that time that I was working in this big company. And eventually I was laid off. But to my surprise, I wasn't sad about it, but I felt like, okay, this was a push into the direction of going more towards my own vision of producing, because I had been in-house, and I had always, or most of the time, I had been producing, and prioritizing executive producers' vision and their projects. I was fortunate to be able to produce a TV series, and really happy about it. But I wanted to move on to producing feature films as well. I wanted to develop my own projects and move them into production. And of course, when you are on hire, you're not one of the owners, you're not the one to decide, and I fully respect that in a company. They make their decision on, how to run their business. But I just had grown this really, really strong urge. And this urge really had to do with the fact that I want to work with emerging talent and with diverse talent. And that's not always very attractive to production companies because it's a major risk. It's a lot of work to work with emerging talents to doing their first projects, to walking them through that process. And I just feel like there hasn't been a strong interest in diversifying our industry here in Finland. And that was always really difficult for me because that is so important to me. And I felt like, well, if no one else wants to do this, then I have to do it myself. Yeah. So when I was laid off, I was trying different avenues. We were thinking of partnering up with another producer in her company. But eventually I decided to establish my own. And at that very moment, I realized that actually this feels quite right at this moment, right now. So far, so good.
Wow, that is beautiful when you get that, have that feeling. Like I have this with our podcast, Ambitchiously Intelligent, this one, obviously. I have that. Like it feels like right. It feels aligned with just my true value and what I believe in. And, supporting women in the film industry, working with Valeria is gorgeous. And it's just, getting to know you, Inka, and just hearing your journey. So I know what you're talking about. It just, it's so amazing when you are able to find something like that. It's beautiful. How do you, because you said diversity is important to you. How do you choose your projects and the talents? Like, what is the process around it? Is it intuitive? Or do you have, it doesn't sound like you have numbers behind it because that is, we know, not really the case with diversity and those emerging. So yeah, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is, how does diverse talent find you? Or how do you find diverse talent? So that's already one thing that I started figuring out or working on, like already when I was working in-house in this other production company. So you really have to be active, go to the screenings of the film schools, go to different film festivals, see the fresh shorts, um, just really find different ways of tracking talent. And I think that came from already working in a talent agency. Like this kind of talent scouting came very natural to me because we used to do that too. Like we watched so much, like film series, watching, like on premieres and just really like suddenly seeing a new talent and be like, oh, who's that? That's interesting. Or, going to the theater, seeing super random like student group theater shows. So it was kind of implementing that, but in film. And then of course, when I created my company, I realized that I have to put myself out there. Also before, but like as a name, as a producer, who am I? And speaking very loudly about what I want to do, taking every opportunity I can whenever I'm asked to join a panel, or a podcast like this. I love to do it because, of course, I love to share my work, or if I can do anything to support someone else, I love to do that, but also to get it out there. What am I doing and what am I looking for? So that's like one part of the process. And once when we do find each other, I think it's more intuitive. It's a lot about the filmmaker, because people come from different backgrounds. And I mean, I didn't go to film school, so I don't assume that everyone else has gone to film school or even gotten the opportunity or ever been encouraged to go to film school. So,
Amen.
so people find other avenues, and it's really about feeling that we get along, and we share the same vision and we share the same values. I also need to feel like the filmmaker is open to, learning, receiving, um, and that we have trust between each other. But yeah, when it comes to the project, there are different ways. The easiest, maybe, or one way that I've found that really works for me is to see that they've made something from before. So it could be a short film, or it could be like we make these kind of social media series here in Finland. They're really like micro formats, but at least that's a way for like emerging filmmakers to do something. So yeah, that's somewhere to start to see, okay, this person made this, which had something really interesting. Sometimes they've actually been a success in festivals or the like, or like a TV series or something. And then, of course, it's the written part, what they have put together, and to be able to see potential in that. And I want to make high quality feature films in any genre, but really aiming for the international market as well. So trying to see the international potential in it. But I'm not at all like excluding making films solely for the Finnish film market.
Would you also work with international talents, as in, or are they mostly Finland or Nordic talents?
They are based in Finland, coming from different backgrounds. I think because we have our base here in Finland, our base funding comes from the Finnish Film Foundation.
Okay, yeah.
So it is an important part also financially, that the filmmaker has a presence here. But I do have projects where one is based here and the other one might be based somewhere else, or isn't Finnish at all. But then we can use that other filmmaker's country of residence as a possible co-production partner. So it's possible to kind of build teams like this, but having the base here.
Of course.
Hey, filmmakers out there.
Yeah, because I was thinking the same. I hope you're listening.
Take notice. I want to ask you about, you said something that among other things, you're also looking for people who are filmmakers who are open to learn new things. And as we've heard before, you also said that you are also one of the lifelong learner yourself. So you said you participated in multiple workshops. Maybe you didn't go to film school, but then you picked up all the knowledge that you had to pick up on the go. And also you also invested in your development, professional development. And now you're giving it back. You also, from my understanding, also holding different workshops and master classes. And can you tell us a little bit more about that part?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, it was super important for my career to also do this additional training that's specified to our profession and to our industry. And it's just been really great. and met a lot of friends in the industry and even people to collaborate with. And so I think it's super important that we can offer this kind of training. And actually this year, or ever since I started freelancing, I realized that, oh, I actually can do other things than produce. I don't only have to produce, but I can also, share my expertise to others in different ways. And I've been consulting for different organizations and even other production companies. But this year, I started to get involved in different training initiatives through Finnish Film Affair. And Finnish Film Affair is our industry event here in Helsinki, our market. And through Finnish Film Affair, we facilitate different training initiatives. And I just realized, like, wow, I love doing this as well.
Beautiful.
And really trying to bring in the knowledge that I've also collected throughout the years. But yeah, we have some wonderful training programs here in Helsinki.
Do tell us about it. I want to hear all about it. Like, no, that's not enough. What is it? Like,
yeah. So I mean, even though we are kind of the odd cousins of the Nordic countries here in Helsinki, we still do think we are a part of the Nordic countries. So actually, both of these training initiatives that I work with are very Nordic focused on Nordic talent. So one of them is called Søderlångvik Masterclass. And it receives funding from Konstsamfundet, which is a culture and arts fund here in Finland. And it differs. So we have our 4th edition coming now in September, which is the second one that I'm working with. And it's twice a year. And for every edition, it's a new masterclass leader. And it's someone very established from one of the Nordic countries. And this time we have Tarek Saleh coming, screenwriter and director. His latest film, Eagles of the Republic, was in the main competition in Cannes, which was also his previous 2 films. And just such an amazing, interesting person. And this time, the people who could apply were directors and actors from all of the Nordic countries. So every time we have a leader, and then we open up to different professions. So it's been, we had screenwriters and directors with Magnus von Horn. We had actors and directors with Alma Pöysti. And then we had one very AI-focused masterclass, which was open to all professions. So it changes every time, which makes it makes it exciting because no one never knows what's coming next, and we just do like a big announcement and like, okay, now this is our leader, and these are the professions who can apply. But of course, trying to change it up a little bit so that everyone gets a possibility at some point. And that one is so amazing because it's a residential workshop, 2 hours away from Helsinki, in the archipelago, in this absolutely beautiful mansion, which was the summer residence of Amos Andersson, who is the founder of Konstsamfundet. So it's a very intimate, quite intensive, but very wonderful and inspiring masterclass for a full 3 days.
Could I apply for it as an Icelandic citizen?
Yes, you can. You can, and we have one Icelandic director coming in this coming edition.
Wow.
So
This sounds so
yes,
exciting. But
yeah,
is it
everyone has to keep their eye out, you know.
Oh, it sounds so exciting and wow. But the way you talk about it now, so wow, I'm like, I want to be a part of this. It sounds like you are organizing again a lot, which is obviously your talent as a producer, something you're really good at. But you are also, I mean, teaching or giving your knowledge, to others, right? And is that, or did I misunderstand that?
No, I've been doing also like lectures, yes. And then
Mm-hmm.
I work on another training initiative,
Do tell.
which is
Of course you do.
also going to be in September. So it's a bit crazy. That's why I said like this time is crazy,
Mm.
but because they're back to back. And the other training initiative is also part of Finnish Film Affair. It's called Nordic Flair, and it also focuses on different Nordic talents every year. And this year it's for emerging producers. So
Mm.
there I felt like I'm completely at home. I know exactly who
Mm.
we should ask to come and talk and, do closed door sessions with us, and I can be there facilitating. And yeah, I did the scouting also for the participants and all of that. So yeah. Yes, I like to keep myself busy, if that was where you're going.
No, what I was going is like you have so much knowledge. You have lived through it all, kind of. Like 15 years is a long time. Being employed for a long, long time in as you said, an India smaller company than a very big one where you learned so much about the industry and how it just works. Now having your own Into Films production company, and it feels like the right step that you're in front then and teaching now, that you're just giving it, your knowledge to others, because there's a lot we can learn from you. I can hear that. So that's why I was asking. But yeah, I'm sure you're very busy all the time. That's why thank you so much for having the time just to be here. We really appreciate it. But when we go to your projects now and Into Films, what are your future projects?
My future projects, I have three feature films that I'm actively developing
Mm.
that have all received some funding in some form. But as I have this new company and really want to work with this, emerging talent and diverse talent, at this stage, I'm also doing shorter formats. So also looking into short films and these kind of micro series for the broadcaster. So we have several of those on our table. Also co-producing as a minority producer. Um, so yeah, it's also a busy slate.
Can you help me with that? What do you mean by co-producing as a minority producer? What do you mean by that?
So with that, I mean, I have, for example, my three feature films where I'm the main producer.
Mm-hmm.
But through my previous experiences in these other companies, I really grew a passion for co-producing and working internationally. So, and it's also a way for you to maybe be able to put together more finances for your film. Um, but I think the best way to do it is when you find a natural way to do it, or, a natural purpose to do it. Um, so with my own projects, I'm the main producer, which we call the delegate producer. And when someone else reaches out to me and asks if you, would you like to be a co-producer on this film, then I become a minority producer because I come in with, a smaller part of the funding, but nevertheless, I can bring funding into a project if I succeed with the financing.
Mm-hmm.
So we work on one feature film right now, that's shooting in Sweden, and there I'm a minority producer, co-producer.
Mm.
Fascinating.
Wow. What would you say, as a young producer who wants to make it in the industry, what are top 2, 3 hard skills and soft skills? What is the most important? After 15 years, you should know the answer.
Oh, what do you mean with hard skills and soft skills?
Let's say, what are the personal skills that a certain someone has to have? I don't know, like maybe resilience, maybe some sort of self-discipline, something that is innate or self-developed. And what are professional skills that you cannot, like time management, let's say. I'd imagine it's very important for someone who is doing producing and also, prioritizing stuff, because if you work in multiple projects, then you can't just have, a to-do list for everything and just do everything without any prioritization. So something like that.
Uh, I'm jumping back a little bit because it's so wonderful how you see me as a very experienced and has a lot of knowledge to share, and it's true because it is true, and sometimes as a woman it's so difficult to disclaim that and to say,
Yeah.
yeah, I've earned my place, I've worked myself up here, I know all these things. At the same time, I still feel like I'm emerging myself, that I'm still
Mm.
new, I'm still working my way up. I just have a baby company, I'm not like 20 years into my production company. My own company hasn't produced the first feature yet, and so I keep telling myself like I'm still new, I'm still emerging and I don't know anything yet. I still have everything to learn, which is why I'm continuously going to different kind of training programs myself. But I still feel like whatever I can share, I will share it now. If anyone thinks that whatever I can share at this point is valuable, then I'm happy to do it. But then coming to the skills, uh, I think it's really difficult to say because that's also been like an ongoing journey for me to figure out what kind of producer I am and what feels natural to me, and also accepting and understanding that we all producers are very, very different. I don't think there is like one thing that connects all of us. And that's why I think also for filmmakers, they need to figure out who is their best fit. And I need to figure out who is my best fit, like no one is right or wrong, really. Everyone, like I said, has the right and, to be in this industry and do what they want if that's their passion. And obviously, this is my passion and I want to do this. But it's helpful to have a few skills.
Now we're getting.
It's helpful.
It's helpful. And I've always said, like, I worked as a line producer, but I was never a good line producer because I felt like I was moderately organized.
Okay.
And I just feel like there's so many line producers out there who are like super organized, super detailed. And I was always like, I'll do what I can do to like manage this project, but I'm not going to get like nerdy about it. I never liked Excel, like completely hated it. But
We
the
understand.
things that yeah, but the things that I learned, I think the most important lesson was to look after yourself, because you can't push yourself to the point where you're not able to work. And I think we all maybe hit that point some time during our career, and then we kind of find that boundary and we understand like, okay, this was pushing too far and this is where I have to draw my line. And maybe I can work super intensely for a week, but then I will take myself to a spa, or I will do something that you need to reset, you need to take care of yourself. just, I don't know, go and get your nails done, like whatever works for you. And that works for me. Like I love making these appointments to do like a manicure or to, you know, like get my hair cut or whatever. Just a moment away from everything, or a trip or going to the cabin or whatever it is. Because I think at this moment I know, because I have my own company, that I have to put in a lot of work to make it work, to make it float through this time. And I just have to find that balance, and I need to be cautious and look after myself. I mean, that's something that I think is really important.
It is.
Then it's, you know, then there are multiple different skills that are just really helpful. And I think that's, you know, treating everyone respectfully, you know, being transparent. And then it's like, you know, delegating. You don't have to be good at Excel. Find someone who is, you know, you just
where to find them.
I trust you. There are people out there who loves Excel.
Like love it,
love.
yeah.
And I'm just like, where are you? You know?
Come to me.
Yeah, be open to receive help. Ask for help. That's the best thing. Like when you realize that I don't have to act like I know everything or I know how to do everything. It's quite a relief. You just find the people who can do it. I think like that's a few of the things that kind of leads my work. Yeah, if it makes sense.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for talking about that and mentioning that. This importance of taking care of ourselves. And because we can all overdo it and work, you know, until we drop dead. We're not gonna do that. So that is true. And finding these tiny things where you're just like, you know what? I feel like I'm spoiling myself and it's just beautiful and I want to do that and I deserve it. And I think it's really, really important. And also what you're talking about, like respect. It's the way you treat people. It's just, it's valuable and it comes back. And it's also and it's also the culture you want to work in, because when we are making a film, it feels like a new family every time, and it's very tight. Like we're working intensely together for some weeks, or it can be longer even. So it is important. So thank you. That was amazing. Thank you so much for your precious time.
Thank you. We are
so lucky to have you here. It was amazing, and all the best. I mean, I know that In Two Films is going to be a success. It's your energy. When we met at the Berlinale, I could feel it. Or you glow, and there's so much love and beauty around you, and your mission is gorgeous.
Thank you.
So congratulations.
Yeah, we'll see what happens and what the future brings, and you know, everything happens for a reason.
It does.
Yeah.
Well,
and thank
you
you.
So much.
Thank you for this wonderful break in this life. You know, it's very valuable to get down to these questions with yourself, like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? How did I end up here? And it was really wonderful to be reminded of that today.
Thank you. It's like a pampering session for your soul.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.